You started on an Su-33, press escape and change slot to an Su-35. You are now on an Su-35 already in flight. Wait a moment for its full initialization. On this mission we will learn how to land the Sukhoi Su-35, developed by codename Flanker Community for DCS. The aircraft start already on the air and the mission consists of use RTN mode to find the destination airbase, fly to the final approach fixed point, FAF, land visually, using a straight line approach, and optionally taxi to the ramp and shutdown. Press spacebar to begin. The first step for landing the Su-35 is to select the return mode of navigation by clicking on the highlighted button on the UFCP. On this mission it is already selected. The next step is the selection of which airbase you want to land on. For this mission select the Murmansk International Airport. The selection is done by repeatedly pressing the same button you used to select waypoints when on en route mode, as it selects airbases when on return mode. Be careful not to press too quickly, because on DCS there is no way to cycle back within the airbases list other than clicking all the way to the end of the list. Murmansk should be just 4 clicks away. Good, you have selected Murmansk International. Press spacebar to continue. We will now contact Murmansk's air traffic control to request landing. Press the / key to call up the DCS communications menu. Note that on non-US keyboards this key might be located on a different position. On the communications menu select F5, ATC, F4, Murmansk International, F1, inbound. Press F12 to exit the menu, and press spacebar once ATC finishes its answer.
107, следуйте курсом 188, удаление 60, давление 29,65, посадочный 1,3, занимайте высоту круга.
ATC has granted landing authorization, and its message provides important information for the approach and landing. FAF stands for Final Approach Fix, and it's a point located on the assigned runway's glide path, at around 20 kilometers from the runway's threshold. It will be from this point where we will do our final approach. ATC has provided a heading and a distance to allow you to navigate to the FAF. You should arrive there at an altitude of around 1,000 meters above ground. ATC has also provided the current atmospheric pressure at its location, which the Su-35 does not really need, as its barometric altitude readout will automatically switch to QFE mode after descending below 1,500 meters. The audio alarm altitude low will be heard when this happens. Finally, ATC indicates which runway has been assigned to us. Murmansk has 2 runways, 13 and 31. Use the F10 map to check which is the true heading of that runway, as the Su-35 navigation system employs true headings rather than magnetic. Press spacebar to continue. I've unpaused the simulator, so that you can do a hard left turn in the direction to the fixed approach fixed point provided by ATC, 188 degrees. Do it now. Good, now level the aircraft and adjust our heading to 188 degrees. Now initiate a shallow descent, such as to arrive at the FAF point at an altitude of 1,000 meters above ground level. For landing, we want to arrive at the destination on the same heading as the runway 13 that we have been assigned. On the F10 map we can check that its true heading is 135 degrees, so enter that course onto our navigation system by pressing the SC button on the right MFD. Then turn the brightness knob until the wide arrow of the HSI points to 135 degrees. Good, now press SC again to store the course value. Maintain the present 188 degrees course until you intercept the extended runway centerline of Murmansk International, which on the left display is symbolized by the blue arrow which points towards the airport. Fly a steady descent, such that you will arrive at the intercept point at an altitude between 10 and 1500 meters above ground level. Note that the blue arrow starts to move towards the runway centerline, denoted with the orange cursor on the outside ring of the display. Once both the arrow and the cursor superimpose each other, you will be just over the runway extended centerline and will have to do a hard turn in the direction of the runway, to your left. Reduce airspeed and altitude, so that you arrive at the intersection at around 500 km per hour and 1000 meters AGL. You can employ the attitude hold autopilot to ease your workload. If needed, deploy the air brakes with the B key. Once both the arrow and the cursor superimpose each other, you will be just over the runway extended centerline and will have to do a hard turn in the direction of the runway, to your left. You are very near the interception point. Disconnect the autopilot if enabled, with the U key, and turn left until both the blue arrow and the orange cursor point in the same direction. It should be around 135 degrees.
Altitude low.
Select the landing navigation mode to have localizer and glide slope deviation bars displayed on the HUD to facilitate maintaining the final approach path. At around 12 kilometers from the runway, ATC will contact you, acknowledge by pressing / followed by F1, request landing. Once under 500 kilometers per hour, deploy the landing gear by pressing G or clicking its lever. Its aerodynamic drag will help in reducing the approach speed, which should be 300 to 350 kilometers per hour.
107.
Once the gear is down,
Работайте с посадкой.
activate the landing lights by turning the highlighted switch down.
107. Разрешите посадку.
Use throttle to control your altitude, and the stick pitch to control your descent rate. It should be no more than 5 meters per second or you risk damaging the landing gear on touchdown.
Проверьте выпуск шасси. Посадочный 1-3.
Touchdown. Apply wheel brakes once the nose gear is on the ground. Use the rudder to keep the aircraft on the runway. If needed, deploy the drag parachute with highlighted button or the P key. Once you have decelerated enough, steer the aircraft to the cold side of the runway and then jettison the chute by pressing the highlighted jettison button. Do this before vacating the runway. You have successfully completed the landing portion of this training mission for the Su-35. We have covered the following aspects: return navigation mode, intersect extended runway centerline, landing navigation mode, and straight line landing. Press spacebar to exit the mission at this point, or press backspace to taxi to the ramp and shut down the aircraft. Enable the nose wheel steering system by pressing left Alt plus Q. Leave the runway at the first exit to the left and taxi to either ramp marked on the diagram. You can park at any place within them.
107. Заруливайте на стоянку.
Change the light switch from landing, down, to taxi, up. The canopy can be opened while taxiing if desired. You have stopped within a ramp. Press spacebar if you want to park here and shut down, or press backspace to try another spot. You have stopped within a ramp. Press spacebar if you want to park here and shut down, or press backspace to try another spot. Ejection seat, disarm. Power off all systems on the right panel. Navigation and formation lights, set to off. Left and right AC generators, set to off. Pull the left throttle all the way back, and then press right Alt plus N to move it to its stop position. This binding will not work if the throttle is not at idle. On the right MFD, you can monitor the engine winding down. In the same way, pull the right throttle all the way back, and then press right Control plus N to move it to its stop position. Now wait for both engines to fully wind down. Turn all the electric power circuits off on the electrical panel at the back of the left console. Next, turn the AC inverter to off. Finally, turn both batteries to off. This concludes the shutdown procedure. You have successfully completed this landing shutdown training mission for the Su-35. In addition to what was indicated at the end of the landing run, we have learnt the following: taxi and aircraft shutdown. Press spacebar to exit the mission.